Okay, Oscar Schmidt, OUWK100K, Willie K, 5-string ukulele. Bottom line, this, by the way, this review is just a very small video portion of a longer written review on ukuleleunderground.com, and I will, if I remember, post a link to that review in the comments section down there somewhere. So this, we're going to mostly concentrate on the audio, as in the ukulele, not me running my mouth, hopefully. It's probably the best laminated uke I've played, but it is laminated. It's not going to compete with most solids. It might give some of the lower end solids a run for their money, but my mainland mango tenor, for example, will blow it out of the water acoustically. But that said, I wouldn't be ashamed to play this, anywhere. I'm not real good at doing harmonics because I just don't do them, but it's got decent harmonics, decent sustain. Now, I know you're asking, John, you've got these great ukuleles. Why did you go and buy this on a whim one evening? Well, because I wanted a 5-string. Now, why do I want a 5-string? In fact, I've got a boat paddle 5-string on it being built. Why did I want a 5-string? Well, I do a lot of this, and I just don't like the way that sounds when you do it on a low G ukulele. Strumming's fine on a low G, but I don't care for the low G when I'm doing this, and I do a lot of this. Well, with a 5-string, if you notice the way that's strung, the wound low G string is on the inside and the high G string is on the outside. And so when you're doing this, it's just like a re-entrant uke. So when you do that, you get the... And then the other thing is, if you notice, I was doing a lot of... And with a 5-string, that bass string will ring while you're running through the finger roll on the other strings. So that's why I wanted a 5-string. So I ordered a boat paddle, and it will probably be here sometime in the next few weeks. But I wanted to get the feel for how they play, and I also wanted one that I can throw on my motorcycle and go on a long trip without worrying about it disappearing while I'm in a gas station or something. So that's why I got this. Some things real briefly, and like I say, there'll be more in the written part, but the setup was excellent out of the box. This, like I say, I ordered this from Amazon.com on a whim one night. Normally I try to support ukulele dealers because they take care of us, but I am capable of doing my own setup, so I just went ahead and ordered it. Turned out, so far I haven't even bothered to set it up. Yes, the one string, the wound low G, goes a little sharp at the first fret, so when I change strings I'll go ahead and touch that up. And then the other thing that bears mentioning, right now it's got a wound C on it. These are the strings that came on it, except for the C string. These are keyless strings, and for whatever reason the C string, it was not intonating well up the neck, and it was not settling down on the tuning. Now, my experience with that usually means the string's been overstretched when it was installed or something like that. Basically a defective string, in other words, because I've had experience with keyless strings and they don't normally do that. Normally they're very good as far as intonation and everything goes. So I had this wound C, wound 3rd string. It's a Tomastic Infeld chrome flat wound string, so there's very little squeak. I mean, I'm emphasizing to get that out of it, whereas you compare that to, there's the regular wound G string that comes on it. Big difference. Now, so anyway, when I replace the strings on this, I'll be putting the Tomastic Infeld on the wound G too. I just decided to go ahead. These strings are good enough. I decided to go ahead and get my use out of them before I throw them away. And like I say, I've been playing. I'm very picky on setups, and I've been playing it 2 or 3 weeks without bothering to set it up. So the setup was really good for laminated uke. More information of that nature in the review on ukuleleunderground.com. This was just get a feel for how it sounds. And of course, anytime I turn the video camera on, I can't play. That seems to be a common problem. But anyway, bottom line, otherwise, one other thing bears mentioning. This is a rare ukulele in that it does not look as good in person as it does on camera, from at least going by what I'm seeing coming back off my monitor here. It's weird. I don't know how they managed to accomplish this, but the wood is very, very dark wood, and it's got a very, very dull finish. Now, I like a matte finish. Don't get me wrong. Most of my ukes have matte finish, but they still have got a little bit of glow to them, and this doesn't really have any glow to it. It's almost like it absorbs light when you see it in person. Even the abalone, which this appears to be real abalone, even that doesn't really look right in person, even less so than it does on the camera there. It just looks kind of dull. So I'm sure they sprayed it with something that's got, some kind of real dull something to it. In fact, I may get ambitious when I change the strings on this. I may take some steel wool and see if I can get that off and then just wax it with Renaissance wax and see if that makes it look better. So those two things are kind of going to make this a hard sell, I think. The fact that it's a laminated uke, like I say, it's a very good laminated uke for as far as tone and everything goes. But it's a laminated uke. Street price $360 to $380, and even with the features, Fishman pickup and being a 5-string with gold tuners, I think it's going to be kind of a hard sell when for example, the Ohana 5-string is a solid top, and it goes. In fact, I think it might be solid all the way around. I know it's got a solid top, and it sells for about $80 less than this, or $60 less than this. Now, granted, it doesn't have the electronics, but it's a solid uke, and it's got much better, acoustic sound. Now, this sounds great plugged in, and like I say, for a laminated, it sounds pretty good acoustically. I wouldn't hesitate to play it anywhere. But it can't really stand up to a solid, and yet the price is more than you're going to pay for a fairly decent solid, solid wood uke. So that said, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it, with those caveats that if you're a visual person, you may not like the way it looks, and if you're going to play almost strictly acoustically and you don't absolutely have to have a cutaway, then you're probably better off with the Ohana. But as far as I know, these are basically the only two choices in readily available, reasonably inexpensive factory ukes in 5-strings. So go down there to the link, and you can get the rest of it and I can stop running my mouth.